Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, game players, anyone who is interested in Star Wars games. Welcome to our channel, a channel that is dedicated to games in the Star Wars universe. My call sign is BatMando. If you are new to X-Wing, then this is the channel to watch. If you are getting back into 2.5, then this is the place to be. And if you like to talk about building Star Wars Unlimited decks, come listen to my 2 credits on another video, because this video is dedicated to X-Wing, and the topic that we are discussing in this video is the scenario number 1, Assault at the Satellite Array. This is the beginning of a series of 4 videos that will deal with the 4 current scenarios in the game. So, now, according to the template, this is classified and top secret. Thank you very much, slidesmania.com, for this particular template. Makes it seem like a briefing. So in which case, now we have for your eyes only the mission parameters. Now this should look familiar because this comes straight from the AMG website itself. So as a matter of fact, word for word, I plagiarized. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. So now, in which case, you want to be the player that controls the satellite at the end of round 2 and every round after that. So, and you do that by having more ships present than your opponent's ships. So you got to keep them within range 0 to 1 of that satellite, and in which case at the end of each end phase, or at the start of every end phase, you want to make certain that those ships are in position and possibly even doing what I refer to as a double dip and getting as many controlled satellites as possible to get 1 point for each satellite you have under control. All right, so now let's go ahead and move on to our next thing, which are going to be what I perceive or think as the best objectives in this scenario. So objective number 1, take control of a majority of the satellites. It's simple math, ladies and gentlemen. If you control 3 and they control 2, you are outscoring them. It almost sounds like I'm trying to talk like John Madden. Now, in which case, what I will also tell you is, what if it's possible for you to be in control of 3, there's still 1 that has not got anyone around it, and they still only have control of 1? Well, in which case, there's the math for you. You keep on adding up more points while they are having to catch up to the number of points that you are accumulating at the end of each round. So now, in which case, if you can keep your enemy ships spread out and away from those satellites, cool. I don't think you want to have to deal with a swarm in this instance, but I don't think many people are going to fly swarms because they know they have to split the swarm up in order to maintain control of more satellites. It's not like you can park your swarm in between 2 satellites and still be winning the game. So, I mean, you'll get 2 points, but if the other ones, or if your opponent has 3 controlled satellites, again, we're back to simple math. Okay, and speaking of simple math, get to 20 points first. That is your objective in every game, but you want to make certain that you still remember that while you are going through this particular scenario. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the next page here, which is my assessment. So again, take my 2 credits for what they're worth. So you have 5 stationary targets that you have to keep in range at the end of each round after the second round. So, as in, like, when the second round is done, you've already started controlling 1 of, or maybe more satellites. You need to keep those in control. So now, in order to keep them in control, you have to patrol. So in other words, patrol more satellites than your opponent. Have a ship present, 2 ships present if possible, to maintain control while still maintaining an offense, which I will tell you is a delicate balance. So now, you also may want to consider what I refer to as base hopping. So in other words, you already have 1 ship that is fast, say like an A-wing, and you can go ahead and have them go 5 forward, position them in a way so that they can jump from 1 satellite to the range 1 area of another satellite, and it helps because they do have that boost there. So in which case, that's what you may want to consider for, say, satellite hopping or just base jumping. So now, in which case, the next thing I would tell you is the A-wing is not the only ship that can do this. There are plenty of other ships that have a 4 forward with a boost or a 5 forward with a boost, and that's going to get you from one spot to the next. All right, now, The next thing I'm going to tell you, which is possibly the most important, is if you are the first player to do setup, try to position 2 to 3 satellites in such a way that you can fly a ship between 2 of them and be present for both when you are trying to go and see how many people or how many ships are within range 0 to 1 of that satellite. So it increases your chances of controlling 2 satellites at the end of that round. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you some visual examples here in just a second because we have a video that goes along with this video that will help better visualize what it is that I'm discussing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go with the actual, let's see this kind of in theory and in practice portion. Before we go into that, I always like to help some of my friends out with their enterprises and everything else. So in which case we have Rebel Scum Convention coming up June 27th through the 30th here in Dallas, Texas area. So make sure to check out their website, rebelscumconventions.com, and I will leave that in the video description for you all. So they have a whole bunch of things coming up, as in they got people to sign and other events, different panels. There will be X-Wing, Star Wars Unlimited, and I believe Legion as well. So in which case, check it out, check out the website and get that information and help other people out. All right, so as you can see, we got the 5 satellites right here. We have the 6 obstacles there, and you will see at the top of your screen right here that this is range 2, and it on the other side, outside of the camera, is the border of the mat. So I will also bring it over here so that you can see this is range 3 all the way from the border, and this is your range 2 right here. Okay, now, obviously, ladies and gentlemen, we need to go ahead and get everything set up as you should. So we'll move everything here for a second, and then here is our trick where we take both corners of the mat, measure them up, get them as close to center as possible. Then we go ahead and put that right there. What I like about these markers is that they have the middle notches right there. Now, for everyone who's about to ask, where did you get these? I got them as a prize, and I don't remember who made them, so otherwise I would have mentioned their name. Sorry, guys. So now, which case, and they're awesome because they got the felt tip at the bottom here, and it makes it virtually, well, not virtually impossible, but mostly improbable that it's going to move. Okay, now, as you look at the rules, you will notice that you will have to maintain a distance between the center satellite and other satellites. Now, let's go ahead and say that I always forget if I'm supposed to place on my opponent's side first, so let's just go ahead and say that I am. And if I'm wrong, somebody can scream at me in comments, and that's just fine. So this is range 2 between them, and you can see that this is now on range 3, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that there. It did bump just a little bit, but I think that'll be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and put that right there. And then let's go ahead and say that my opponent wants to try to keep it further away than that, and we'll go ahead and put it somewhere about right here. We got to make certain that it is beyond range 2 of my side of the mat, so we will go ahead and place that right there. Some people seem to think that it has to be beyond range 2 of the side. There is no rule that says that. That's only for the obstacles. Okay, so this is at range 3. We'll actually bring it up just in case somebody is like, that's not at range 3. So in which case, I believe there's leeway that it just basically says that it has to be range 3 from the center, and that is definitely range 3 right there, just hovering on it. So now, in which case we'll take that away. If I am correct, then we can also see that I get to place one on my side. And as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and place this about right here. Then I'm going to check right here. I'm going to bring it up just a little bit to see if I can pull this thing off that I'm trying to do. So we're going to put that right here. And you'll notice that the manipulation of this is going to lead to a triangle. And this is either really good news for you or it's going to be bad news for you. Now, in which case, let's go ahead and say that my opponent here decided that he's going to go ahead and bring stuff in here, keeping it on his side of the mat, of course. So there we go. So kind of a spread out thing. Now, everyone's going to have their own opinions on this. Feel free to leave your comment down below because we definitely want to have other people who are watching this video see your comments, and then we'll just go from there. Now, hi. we have the 6 obstacles right here. If I am first player and I get a choice in the matter, I am going to go ahead and place an obstacle very large next to our center one so that it's not as easy for someone to go ahead and just fly around this thing. So now, if you understand what it is that I'm trying to do here, actually, I'm going to go ahead and place it right here. I know that if I was the other player, I would try to go ahead and set up this right here so it would make it very difficult for them to go ahead and be in this spot and claim 2 at the same time. Of course, now that they know this, they're going to try to do the same thing as well. So, or maybe they decide, hey, you know what? I don't want to deal with obstacles in my way, so I will just go ahead and do this. Now, that's too close. So in which case, let me see if I can flip this around and get range 1 of both. The answer is no. So we'll just go ahead and put it right there. So you notice that we've kept it so that they can fly around on this side, but then they have to fly around further just to keep within that range. But there's still a possibility that you could fly a ship right here and get 2 for the price of 1 ship, or as in for the price of 1 base being in that spot. Okay, so now we got these other 4 pieces to go. I'm just going to go random. So where it lands, there you go. So in which case, that's where that place is. Then I'm going to go ahead and actually be precise and put 1 over here. Then we'll see if I can put another one, actually probably put this one right here, but still have some space to fly in between. Then we'll go ahead and put this other one right here, getting it as close as I can. So it kind of messes up the lanes there so that people can't just speed by and all that other fun stuff. Now, let's go ahead and show why we did this and everything else. Now, with small bases, this is going to be easy. So now, of course, we're going to start off with the iconic T65 right there. And long story short, let's just go ahead and say that this one is flying through this particular area. Hey, what do you know? He's going to be able to catch this one. He's going to be able to catch that one easy. So I could even move him over just a little bit more, catch this one, catch that one, very easy. The question is can a small base like this capture all 3 at the same time? So I'm putting this right here. There it's captured. There it is captured. This one just out. So a small base may not be able to do that. Now, another thing that I've mentioned is let's go ahead and say that I have an A-wing in my list here. And I know that some of the other ships are coming after my A-wing because they think that it's a easy target at that point in time. Well, as we all know, A-wings are very, very fast. So in which case, let's go ahead and say that you see this threat coming, and then you're like, well, I can't stay here anymore, but I need to still maintain my majority of the satellites so I can keep a lead on points. So we go ahead and do a 5 forward, and because it's a A-wing, it still has the opportunity to boost at that point in time, but I don't really even need to boost anymore because I've jumped from this one, gone over to this one. Granted, this ship is probably going to come in here and start claiming this, and this ship may have also been doing the same, but in which case, ladies and gentlemen, you've jumped out of a kill box and jumped on over to grabbing more points on this side. Okay, now, that being said, we'll go ahead and move on to a couple of other theoreticals. Now that we have a medium base out here, wanted to go ahead and show you what a medium base can do in regards to setting up the triangle that I have right here. So let's go ahead and say that Boba goes ahead and comes in through here, is able to get in this spot. I think you can easily see that Boba is going to be in range 1. Yep, that is range 1. I don't know if you can see it all that well, but even if I inched it up just a little bit, there you go. So let's say that you happen to hit the magic spot right here, and that means you have claimed 3 different spots with just 1 base. So now, that being said, you could also probably do the same thing with a large base. We'll go ahead and put in Dengar just to say, hey, here's a large base. But the problem is getting Dengar to actually fit through this thing. So let's go ahead and say that Dengar is coming through at this angle. So now, that's very theoretical. I don't think you would ever get that kind of angle on Dengar simply because it's normally on 90s and 45s unless you're doing that funky thing where you start at a 22.5 degree angle, but maybe you slam into someone by accident and end up at this angle. But basically what I'm getting at here is it is possible theoretically. You have to plan it really well and you have to avoid all these obstacles, which is going to lead me to my next point when we summarize everything here. So again, don't forget to possibly consider using a medium base. I don't recommend the large base because there's obstacles, but you can still get that medium base in here and get one. Oh, am I going to be out? Let's find out. One. Nope, that's touching. So, and then our last one over here, definitely in. So now, you may be saying, how did you get that angle? Or how was he can still fly over a gas cloud, mind you, but he's just going to lose all the target locks and everything else, possibly be ionized. However, ladies and gentlemen, it's still possible for him to grab 3 as a medium base. So possibly consider putting a medium base into your build. Now, in which case, ladies and gentlemen, what I would like to go ahead and leave you with is when you are placing these, you need to make certain that you place your satellites correctly and that you also place your obstacles to your advantage. So let's go ahead and return back to the slide. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so there was that video, and just my 2 credits. This is what I hope that you get out of this video. First, placement of satellites and obstacles are absolutely vital. Make certain that you have a ship that is dedicated to satellites only. In other words, if you got an A-wing in there that can run around ships and just capture one satellite at a time, go right ahead. And always get the upper hand with the number of ships that you have. So please always consider, like I always say, the 5-ship list should be standard at this point in time. So it does not surprise me that a majority of the lists that you see that make it up to the top are no longer 3 ships, possibly not even a lot of 4-ship lists anymore. So the standard has basically become 5. If you have 5 ships and your opponent has 4, then you already have the upper hand with the number of ships. So always try to keep the upper hand there. All right, then set up, make certain that you get those, get 2 satellites close to each other and use the obstacles to your advantage. Round 1, get into position so that you are ready to control for round 2. Then round 2, maintain control of more satellites than your opponent while maintaining that offense. Yes, I know it's a delicate balance, but if you can't make it work, then your opponent may run all over you. All right, so credits to Slide Mania and any images that were used there in Unsplash, and in which case, thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. We very much appreciate you. And make certain to join us on Instagram or friend me on Facebook. Haven't said no to a single person yet. Drop us a comment below, especially if you have an opinion that is completely in contrast to what it is that I said. We always appreciate opposite opinions because that means more people can read them in the comments and determine what style best fits their play. So credits go to Slides Go, Flat Icon, and Free Pick for their use of media in this presentation. And as always, BatMando out.